And we're back with Dr. Alan David Young, who is a remarkable, fascinating scientist and incredible, intuitive, and a new thought minister. What a fascinating life and personality. We've been talking to Alan about lots of good things, about science of mind, about manifestation, about intuitiveness. A couple of things. First of all, we want to talk we want Alan to give us a little tutorial about, how do we calm down? And I suggested that before the break that he would give us some illumination on how to really trust. This is the big thing, How do you really trust the universe, trust God, trust your higher power? How do you do that long enough to let to push the fear aside, and then to allow this wonderful manifestation to occur?
Okay, it's a process, and it takes practice, and it's not natural. It's not natural to regulate yourself into a better mental state. It's not natural to meditate if you haven't done it. It's not natural to make your life better or to let go of old habits. So it's not easy. However, that being said, the first step, and it kind of goes back to these 9 stages, but I'm going to talk about them in a little different way. Usually when there's something new in your life and you start thinking about it, you have what meditators sometimes call monkey mind. You put your attention on something like you're trying to meditate. 30 seconds, you're done with it because you can't stay focused. You can't keep focused on whatever it is. Why? Because your mind flips around from A to B and C. And I just can't meditate, so they give up. Well, that's true. You will give up. But what you want to do is to pick something that you know something about already, because it's easier to focus on that. So if for example, there's a nice place you've been to, a lovely beach or forest or flowers or some place, pick that as a beginning point of focus, or something you know something about. Don't just try to meditate on a blank space, because probably won't be able to keep your mind focused on it, or meditate on everything under the sun. Pick a topic that you know something about that's pleasant and begin to focus on that one topic. That'll still your mind and allow calm to come to you. So I would say, rather than having too many things in your mind that distract you, try to get one thing that's pretty focused, that you're familiar with, because familiarity breeds more familiarity. But as I said, if you just have something that you just fish out of the sky, or you just try to meditate on it, it's not going to sort of work. Now, sometimes you can do walking meditations where you walk through the woods or on a walking trail in a mindful way. You take your time and begin to notice everything that you see as you go along your walk. And after that walk, you can try to replay some of that in your mind. There's many, many ways to meditate, even if you were someone who doesn't dream, but you're willing to learn how to do that. Keep a little pad next to you. Even though it doesn't seem like that's meditation, I guarantee you, if you pay attention to the universe and pay attention to what's coming up in dreams, and you start writing them down, within a period of time, not only a period of weeks, maybe months at the most, the universe is going to give you more and more clear dreams, and you're going to find more and more calm. Why? Because dreams do the same thing as meditation. They make you calm because they bring you into alignment with the universe. And if you can just begin to listen to your feelings, listen to your multisensory awareness, which is if someone were to go on to just Google what are the different intuitive abilities, or what are the different ESP abilities, they would come up with Wikipedia would give you a list of about 30 different psychic abilities. All of them would be designed to calm you down. So just pick one that you can maybe focus on and learn. So there's some tips in that regard. There's people think about like ESP. They say, well, what is ESP? Well, they know it's extrasensory perception or multisensory perceptions, but they don't know that there's 30 different abilities that we have as humans, and we only need one or two. to just like thinking, there's thinking abilities. One ability is imagination. That's a mental ability. Another ability is the ability to use your willpower. And if you don't have good imagination or you don't use your willpower, guess what? The world's not going to work very well for you. And there's actually more mental abilities as well. But it's the intuitive abilities in general that tend to bring the peace and the mind, and those come from meditation a little bit more. The mental abilities help you get things done, and you need that. You need to get stuff done, but you also need to come from a place of peace.
Right. So I think, just to kind of summarize it, I think what you're saying is that we have to really find a discipline, a continuous discipline to help us quiet the screaming mind that says, be safe, be safe. We're always looking to protect ourselves. That's the great job of the ego, of course, is to keep us alive and to keep us safe. And in order to hear the transmission from the universe, we kind of have to quiet that voice a little bit, not ignore it, but quiet it enough so that we can pick up some receptivity from the rest of the universe. And as you were saying, there are many, many ways to do that. Prayer is a way, and meditation is a way, and walking meditation or mantras. There's so many ways that we can do that. But it really becomes an issue of trust, doesn't it? That we can trust the universe. That
we can trust the universe, and by picking some things that you're familiar with from past experiences, it can help you focus a little bit more. One of the first things I do in a intuition training workshop is to pair two strangers up together and to ask them to do the same thing. I ask person A to close their eyes and imagine person B is a house. Just imagine a house, because that's something everyone can probably imagine. What kind of house do you see? What color is it? What kind of neighborhood is it? Just let your imagination go. And I ask the other person to do the same thing. Once they do that and they say, oh, I saw this house, I think this person may live on A Street or B Street or 59th or whatever, I said, no, I'm not looking at physical house. The house is a symbol of the soul. And it's interesting that when someone sees a house that looks like a congested apartment building, we translate that into a meaning. What does that mean? Well, what it means is that person has a lot of individuals in their lives. They're probably not very grounded because they don't have their own house, or if it's a house that's all on a hill by itself, it probably is someone who's very introverted. Maybe if it's high on a hill, they have a lot of they have a good status. If it's a house with a big fence around it, most likely they're guarded, and they can get immediate validation by just taking some symbols and converting them to something real. But if I ask two strangers, to do a reading on one another, they're not going to know what the heck to do. They just say, well, I don't know how to do that. But if you give them something to focus on that they have something in common with, or they have some connection to, then they can begin to still their mind. Now, they can do that for themselves. They don't have to read a stranger. They can read themselves. But they have to start with something that they're kind of familiar with to help focus the mind.
We only have a couple of minutes left, and two things I want to give a little wrap-up to say, because I have the pleasure of interviewing people who are working in your field, and it's so fascinating. And what we basically realize as listeners is that there's a lot of universal generosity out there. And it's a matter of learning the language and learning to listen. So I want to emphasize again, Alan, you have books on the subject, and if someone wants to get a hold of you, what is your website? Where can people go to find out more about you?
The book Trinities to Enneagrams, if you type in www.trinities2enneagrams.com, you'll get the book website. I have a general website for my business called visionforchange.info, and that includes a lot of psychic reading stuff, some I Ching stuff, and the books I've written just prior to this book, one is called Catching God's Thoughts. It's on Amazon as well as this one. The other one is called I Ching, simply called I Ching Readings. Those are the three latest books, and they're all about how to access the non-physical universe to listen to the beat of that inner drummer, so that you can follow. Now, the I Ching and Catching God's Thoughts, they usually have a few different tools in there. It's not only the I Ching, but it's how to use your mind to relax and visually capture information to know what the divine is saying.
Right, exactly. And before we leave, before we say goodbye, I just want to share with the audience, Alan did a reading for me, and I gave him something that I kind of knew the answers to. I kind of had a sense of what was going on, and he was dead on. He gave me lots of wonderful feedback and talked about how I could know this myself, and a lot of it I kind of did a little bit know, but he was giving me wonderful, wonderful specifics, and I said to him, oh, you got to teach us how to do that. So if you want to know more, that's what Alan does. He teaches people how to access their intuition and how to listen to the communications that are coming at us do visit him. He has a wonderful website and 3 books that he's written. So, Dr. Allen, I am just so pleased that you were able to join us today. I thank you so much. And listeners, come back again next week for another inspiring and educational program on living above the drama.